So in today's video, we're going to be going over how to catch a catfish like this one right here. This is about a 5-pound channel cat. These things are pretty fun to catch. So although catfish are omnivores and they will pretty much eat anything, not all baits and rigs work equally well with these guys, and it really depends on what body of water you're fishing in. So in this video, we're going to go over kind of what variables you should consider based on where you're fishing for how to catch a catfish like this. And I'm going to go ahead and release this guy, then we'll get into the video. Alright, so this right here is a still body of water, so it kind of changes how you fish for catfish a little bit. Because on the bottom of still bodies, like a lake or a pond, you get a lot of debris accumulation. There's not a flowing stream to kind of erode the bottom and get rid of that debris. So a lot of times you'll have like a lot of vegetation built up at the bottom that can completely engulf or even hide your bait from fish if you're using a bottom sinking rig. So that's why it's advantageous to put it on a bobber and float it a little bit above the bottom. Get some distance between your bobber and your bait, obviously, but that's definitely ideal for this sort of setting. And obviously in a stream or river or any sort of flowing body of water, it'd be a pretty horrendous idea to use a bobber because that would just take your bobber downstream. So you want to use something that sinks to the bottom because it kind of stays in one place. And it'll be fine there because it'll most likely be a smooth surface. To fish catfish in a still body of water, we use a traditional bobber rig. We have our bobber, a swivel, a leader, as well as your hook, and we put a split shot halfway down the leader to add some weight for casting. You can use different types of hooks at the end, depending on what bait you're using. We'll get into the video a little further here and see why this is best for me. And then to fish a moving body of water, you use a Carolina rig, which is your egg sinker here, which slides, a swivel, leader, and a hook. The reason that circle hooks can be preferable to treble hooks like this is because circle hooks work great for chop bait. I've found that catfish tend to prefer bait that's locally available to them, so in this case I've used some chopped panfish here. This is bluegill. But if you want to go the route of using a treble hook, you can also use baits like a hot dog or stink bait, which adhere to the edge of the treble hook. If you go ahead and use a hot dog, I recommend that you make a cut down the middle of the hot dog like such and slide that hook in that cut and then insert those 3 prongs into the hot dog like that to most secure the hot dog, because if you just try to push through it in order to hook it, you're gonna lose the strength of the hot dog and sort of break it apart, and it'll be really easy for bait fish to just nibble it right off like that, and you won't have your bait in the water very long. And that's another advantage of using chop bait, is that it's pretty hard for bait fish or anything smaller than a decent catfish to go on the run with this. I mean, this is on there pretty solid, and this kind of deters little guys from biting it. So if you get something on the end of this line, you know it's going to be a decent catfish. And then another upside of this sort of hook right here is that it's much easier to unhook and release the fish once you've landed it, because there's only one point of contact, and circle hooks also tend to avoid gut hooking or hooking the fish deep down in its stomach. So these are good for a couple other reasons as well. Now it's time to put this rig to the test. We've got plenty of space between our bobber and our bait. I'm going to throw this out there and see what we get. Take the fish. See what we got here. Oh shit, he just dragged. Oh, gotta land him. Video 4. Alright. Now that's how it's done right there. That's a chunker. Little 5-pounder, 5-6 pounders maybe. Off the chop bait. So this stuff works pretty well. Pretty cool catch. Didn't take that long either. I love fighting these guys. Absolutely love it. These guys put up a fight. Cool.